So the main reason why that particular thing, that specific person, that specific lifestyle isn't manifesting the way that you expected it to or want it to right now is purely and simply down to the fact that your energy is stuck in this dimension's frequency. But if you follow the 3 things I'm going to share with you in this video today, you will literally be able to amplify your manifestation power so that you are not stuck in this dimension's frequency, but instead you'll be able to manifest faster and more effortlessly. I know for a fact that this works because I've used this to manifest things like traveling the world and going from being super shy, super introverted to speaking on hundreds of stages all around the world, and many, many more things to do with relationships, health, spiritual development, and more. But the thing is, before I knew about this particular concept, I remember being stuck in this thing of thinking is there a secret to manifesting or reality shifting? Maybe you've tried meditating, maybe you've tried yoga, maybe you've tried watching all the different manifestation videos on YouTube, the infinite amount of manifestation videos there are there. But if you're anything like I was, you're putting a lot of effort in. I'm not saying you're not doing anything. You're putting a lot of effort in, you're putting a lot of action in, you're putting a lot of practices in, spiritual practices, yet things aren't quite manifesting as consistently as you would expect it to. Then it leaves you wondering things like, is it just me? Is it the fact that maybe I'm doing something wrong? Maybe it's the fact that it just takes time, or will this ever happen for me? Or is this a sign from the universe that I shouldn't be doing this or that I should go a different route? And it kind of leaves you in this confusion, is there some other secret that I'm just not aware of? Well, there is a secret, but it's being overcomplicated and overlooked by a lot of people today. But the good news is that stops today. Why? Because in this video, I'm going to share with you something that you can do that's actually very simple to break free from this dimension's frequency so that your manifestations happen more consistently, more faster, and more effortlessly. But first of all, why is it important to break free from this dimension's frequency? Well, very simple. Your true power doesn't lie just within this frequency. You are an infinite being and your power lies beyond this frequency. But if you don't use this true power, which most people are not, what happens is you'll be in this constant state of putting a lot of energy into things, doing a lot of things, feeling this almost treadmill of doing so many things, doing different practices, finding new techniques. But the reality is, if you're actually just honest with yourself and look around in your life, things don't really change as fast as you expect. Don't get me wrong, you might get a few things here and there, some manifestations come in, but the real deep ones, sometimes they take a bit longer. Now, obviously this can lead to things like feeling burnt out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling overthinking certain things, which obviously I don't want you to experience. So how can we break free? Well, first of all, the way that we can unlimit your manifestation powers is very simple. It comes down to this first thing of appreciating the dimensional power difference. You see, a small action in a large dimension has big effects in the smaller dimension. Now, what do I mean by this? Very simple. Imagine the large dimension being the planet Earth. Imagine that's the larger dimension. When the planet Earth, the Earth's crust or its tectonic plates, they slide across each other just slightly, what happens? Well, on smaller dimension, aka our life on the planet Earth, it becomes an earthquake. One small thing on that big dimension has huge ramifications on the smaller dimension. Same thing, I'll give you another example that's a bit more down to earth. Excuse the pun, but I'll give you another example where imagine this. Imagine every time you have a shot of alcohol or something that isn't healthy for you, hundreds of your cells in your body, aka in smaller dimension, are being injured or dying. For those cells, in order to replenish, in order to repair, what do they need to do? They need to put a lot of effort into healing the cells that are damaged. They need to put a lot of effort into maybe replacing the cells that died. Compared to if they were able to communicate with you on this bigger dimension and say, hey, don't take the shot. It's Friday night, but don't take the shot, bro. If they were able to communicate that to you and you didn't take the shot, and then what happens? You take something healthy instead of hundreds of cells being damaged, what would it be? Hundreds, thousands, millions of cells being replenished, being revitalized, just by one small action of you taking a different shot or a different drink. So this is the kind of effect that this Himalayan yogi was sharing with me. Was sharing that whenever we do manifestation, we're not doing manifestation from in this dimension. This dimension is like the effect. We're doing the manifestation in bigger dimension because one small act there has huge effects here. Huge effects being you could be manifesting, for example, hey, I want more money, or hey, I want this different lifestyle. But when you do it there, it's not just a case of what most people are doing in this reality, taking lots of action. Don't get me wrong, you will still be taking action. But the difference is instead of you doing all these things here that have little effects that do add up, what most people are stuck on, which is why most people are burning out, which is why most people are experiencing stress, which is why most people are experiencing things in their core, which they know that they aren't doing things that are true to themselves, yet they still do it because they think that they have to do it because everybody else is doing it. But we can break away from that cycle, break out of this dimension's frequency to the beyond. Because when you do that small action there can be things where you are obviously taking your action here. But by you doing this manifestation outside, when it comes to here, there'll be things that you didn't even plan for. You ever had that in life? Where sometimes miraculous things that you didn't even plan for, you couldn't have even planned it like that. But all of a sudden it happens. And it's like, whoa, how did that thing happen? Like, I'm so blessed, so grateful. Like the video, if you've ever had a miraculous thing happen that you didn't even plan for. This is beautiful. But this is the thing, when we tap into this higher frequency, now we can start to tap into more of those unexpected things that your physical mind can't even prepare for, can't even plan for, doesn't need to, because it's going to be taken care of. You taking the actions will also supplement that, but will allow that higher energy to come through. So how do we start going beyond and appreciating our dimensional power difference? It's first of all two things. The first one is to appreciate that you are not your body. When we are limited, most people are limited to the fact that they think that this is me, this is Joshua, this is who I am, and this is all that I am. But if you are limited to the body, you are limited to limitation. Look, think about this. Let me just say this. You are not your body. How do we know this? If you've ever had an out-of-body experience or lucid dream, you can realize that you can be in a whole different place, yet your body is here. So you are existing without the physical body. But now I know actually as I say that, some people are going to be like, yeah, but Josh, yeah, technically I'm out of the body, or I'm experiencing an existence that isn't from this body, but my body's still alive. If my body is not alive, then I'm not alive. No. Have you ever heard of, you ever watched near-death experiences? When I was younger, I used to be really interested in near-death experiences and just fascinated by the fact that, you know, different stories, like people would have from all different walks of life, different religions, different races, different societies, different everything, yet they would have these common experiences. You know what I used to find interesting as well was that Christians would see Jesus, Buddhists would see Buddha, and depending on what religion you would see or what belief system you had, you would see that thing that aligns with that. Actually, I've got a question for you. Do you know why that is? Let me know in the comments why you reckon that is. Why is it that Christians see Christ when they have near-death experiences and they come back, they say, oh my gosh, I saw Jesus. Buddhists see the Buddha. Why is that? I'm curious to know what you feel that is. But anyway, before we get onto that topic, maybe in another video, for now, it's appreciating these near-death experiences. What do they have in common? Well, their body died, yet they were still aware. They were still alive. They were still experiencing a form of reality. Now I know as I say that, some people are going to be like, yeah, but Josh, that's because they were starved of oxygen, right? Their brain was starved of oxygen, so they started to hallucinate. Well, what about the people? And you know, it's funny because I was watching some near-death experiences recently, so I know, and I've seen people talking about this. What about the people who were hooked up to oxygen systems? Oxygen ventilation tanks, so that they didn't need to breathe, they were being oxygenated and there was oxygen in their body, so you know for a fact there was no starvation of oxygen. What about those people who have near-death experiences? Now I know some people are going to be saying this is the last thing I'm going to say, because if you at this point you're saying no Josh, then maybe this video isn't for you. But this is the last thing that I'm going to say, because what about the people, I know some people will be saying, what about the people who were on medication and then the medication made them hallucinate? Well, what about the people who had near-death experiences who weren't on medication because either they couldn't afford it or because the doctors didn't give it to them, but they still had a near-death experience? So for fact, we can see from all these different accounts, whether you've had out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams, whether you've even maybe had a near-death experiences or heard about all these accounts from people from different places in the world talking about the same thing, where they died, were physically dead in these near-death experiences, yet they were still here. They were still able to witness the ambulance, the paramedics. They were still able to witness what was happening, seeing their family, going to a different state and seeing a family member and what they were messaging at that particular moment, seeing all these different things. So when we appreciate that we are not our body, this starts to take us from almost like, imagine this. Okay, actually, I don't really drink bottled water too much before any of you health heads talk to me, but I'm traveling right now, so I don't have my water filter, but this actually will come in handy. I'm not sponsored by this company, by the way, but you know, but imagine this. Your energy is this water. If I pour water into this bottle, what? It becomes this bottle. It becomes confined to this. If I open this lid and take this water and pour it out into the ocean, what happens? Now, this same thing becomes unlimited. So all we're talking about here is, and trust me, okay, I know as I explain this, because some people might start thinking that, but this is isn't this simple, Josh? Like, okay, I'm not my body, but how's that going to help with my manifestations? This is the way. We are taking your consciousness, your energy, from something that is limited in this dimension's frequency, and I'm sharing with you how you can unlimit that, access the unlimited. So the way that we do this is, first of all, appreciating, okay, I am not my body. Yes, I am experiencing through my body, so this is a part of me. But I am not exclusively that. I am not limited to that. Second thing is, you are not your thoughts. Okay, you are not your mind, but that is a whole different topic for another video, because that is a very deep topic. There are many different levels to the mind, you see. It's not just, people say, okay, the mind is one thing, but actually there are many layers to the mind. But that will be another video. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, like psychology and all that sort of stuff and how it links to manifestation, let me know in the comments, because I'll be sure to do more things like that, because it's all connected. You see, this is something that I just want to share actually right out in the open, that a lot of videos online, they share these things where it's like, these two things will transform your life. Or if you know this one thing, it will transform your life. And don't get me wrong, these things can be spark plugs to things, spark plugs for you to plant this seed and then go on that journey. But at the end of the day, there's so many things that are interconnected. Your mind is interconnected to your body interconnected to your spirit to your soul. It's all interconnected. And if we start just analyzing just from a psychological aspect, but missing the body and the soul, then you know what's going to be like. You could be, okay, intellectually knowing all these things, but in a physical real world system, it's not quite manifesting. So that's why a lot of the things that I'm sharing is all interconnected. Even some of the videos that I do in the past about even just lucid dreaming, some of you have noticed that the lucid dreaming formula that I made is very linked to even manifestation. So if you haven't checked that video out, make sure to check it and see how you can correlate that to also manifestation. But now going back to this topic, okay, I'm just going to say to you, you are not your thoughts. You have thoughts, you can create thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. This is what a lot of advertisers play on, right? You see an advert, then you all of a sudden, like, you was feeling a bit peckish, and now you're like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling a bit like having that McDonald's, you know. I've been good, but I haven't had a McDonald's in some time, you know. I think I'm gonna get some McDonald's. But what you don't realize is that a few moments earlier, you were just subliminally brainwashed to a degree from an advert on your laptop or an advert on the billboard or something like that. Now you think it's your thought, but it's not your thought. This is what a lot of advertisers play on. But now you might be thinking, yeah, but Josh, but that's just like external. Actually, let me do this. Lemons. When I say that word, what comes to your mind? Lemons. But the question is, was that your thought? Or did I just place that thought in your mind? So already, without going too deep into some of these esoteric, occult pieces of practices and knowledge, we can already see that, okay, I am not my body, I am not my thoughts. I am not limited to being who I think or who I thought I was. I am something beyond that. So now the question is, what is that beyond? Because when we start tapping into that beyond, just like this water, when we start tapping into that beyond and flowing into that limitless energy, then we can start to bring that energy into our manifestation abilities. And it's very counterintuitive. Think about it. A lot of the times our mind, who you are not necessarily, your mind will try and play tricks on you and say, hey, but I need to be doing this thing, or hey, this manifestation practice, or hey, this thing, keeping you busy, because the ego thinks that it needs to be busy because it needs to keep going. But the reality is, by you tapping into this infinite nature, you're bringing in this higher energy into your reality. So I know for a fact that just by doing this simple thing that I'm going to show in a moment, you will start to give yourself even more manifestation powers, even more manifestation abilities. This is what I've used time and time again to tap into way more power beyond what my physical mind, physical body, physical system thought it could do. So the way that we do this is very simple. And actually, I am currently making another video as well, all to do with a particular practice that I learned from this yogi, to do with tapping through a third eye portal, which is going beyond this dimension. But I wanted to do this video first to give you some pre-preparation practices that you can do even before I do that other video. Because when I do that other video, we're going to be going very deep. And if these fundamentals aren't covered, which are the fundamentals to you tapping into beyond, if they're not covered, then it will be even tougher for going out of dimension. So if you're interested in that video, let me know as well in the comments. I look forward to recording that video. It's a very powerful process. But in the meantime, the practice that I want to give you today is all to do with, I want you to say the words. Say the phrase, I am confident. Say it right now. Say it. I am confident. Say the phrase, I am positive. Say the phrase, I am good looking. Say the phrase, I am hungry. Say the phrase, I am sexy. I'm just messing with you here. But say those phrases. Say some phrases with I am, then a word. When you say those phrases, now, I want you to stop. I want you to say the words, I am, and then don't say something else. Say it, I am. And when you say that word, I want you to feel where you feel in the body. Because notice, all those words that I did was I am, so some form of you, the form of you, is something, is hungry, is positive, is sexy, is tired, is whatever. I am something. So that I am is latching onto something within you and saying this thing is that thing. But notice, that I am is the thing that we're talking about here, the true part of you, not your body, not your mind. Feel, this requires feeling. This is not an intellectual thing or a thinking thing. This requires feeling. When you say the words, I am, where do you feel it? What do you feel? When I say it just now, well, when I say it in general and just now when I said it, I feel. When I say I am, boom, I feel almost like this feeling in my heart center, in this heart chakra. Like it's like a core part of me, a core being. I am. But notice, most people, when they say things like, yeah, I'm feeling like this, they're not tapping into this. They're just saying, I am something. They're overlooking the reality of what they're actually doing here. I am is latching on to something. Then you're saying, I am something else. I am tired, I'm hungry, I'm sexy, and I know it, or whatever you want to say. So now what we're doing is we're tapping into that core being. So all I want you to do in the next coming days, in addition to the final two things I'm going to share in a moment, is start to feel when you say I am, when you tap into your own presence, the true presence that isn't just your body, that isn't just your mind, what do you feel? Where do you feel it? Who are you feeling? What are you feeling? This is the counterintuitive thing. By doing this, you are tapping into more energy. You are tapping into higher vibrations. And you know what it's like. You've probably seen the vibrational frequency chart. If you're in a vibration, a lower frequency vibration like fear, guilt, shame, you're not able to give your manifestations the oomph, the energy, the power that it requires to make it happen fast, make it happen effortlessly. If you're in the higher frequency, love, peace, joy, enlightenment, all these higher frequencies, now you're giving it way more energy. You're giving your reality way more energy, which is why things like presence. I spoke about presence a lot in the lucid dreaming formula because it's a big thing for manifestation and for lucid dreaming. When you bring that divine presence in, now you're holding that unlimited ocean of energy, you're holding it and bringing it into this form. So let me know how you're feeling about this topic right now. Let me know also what you're feeling when you say the words I am. If you do feel, hey, I feel something here. If you feel it somewhere else, let me know. If you don't feel, let me know. Because there's a reason for this, right? Sometimes it can be the case where you may not feel straight away, but if you keep doing it, you will feel it. It just depends where you are on the vibrational frequency chart in terms of mind and in terms of body association. So that's the first thing. So you're going to keep doing that throughout your day, whether it's in the morning, at night, throughout the day. It's just feeling into who is this I am? Who is this soul that is beyond the body, that when I lucid dream, this energy goes somewhere. When I am dreaming, this energy is somewhere else. When I am, let's say for example, tapping into this I am and I'm in my body still, what is this energy? Start getting more congruent, start feeling this energy more often. But in the meantime, before also I do that other video where I'm going to share with you how to take that energy into different dimension as well. Before I do that video, what I would like you to do is I would like you to notice that even though the majority of people are stuck in this dimension's frequency, it does not mean that they are shut off to the other frequency, the other energy, the other dimension. Far from it. You are always connected to it. The problem is that you're not consciously connected to it. So the thing is, even though you're not consciously connected to it all the time, what is happening is certain things are streaming into this bottle, streaming into this container. What I mean by certain things is, have you ever noticed that sometimes you have these recurring thoughts, recurring feelings, recurring knowings to do something? Like right now, I'm sure if I ask you, you know that there's certain things in your life that you should be doing, but you're not doing. Or there's certain things in your life that you shouldn't be doing, but you are doing. Or there's certain things in your life that you should be doing, but you're not doing to the fullest of your capacity. So the second thing that I want to share about is all to do with people not following recurring signs. And when I say recurring signs, I don't mean 1111, 222, 111 on the clock, okay? That you could class that as a sign. But what I'm talking about is these thoughts, these ideas, these projects, these feelings that you get that you know roughly that it's something that you want to do, that you should do, that you need to do or need to stop doing, but you don't follow it. Why? Because you're tied to this mind, where this mind says, oh yeah, but I'll do that after I do this, or I'll work on this first, then I'll do that. And what am I speaking about? I'm speaking about things like, for example, You might have that feeling, that knowing that you need to start that YouTube channel, but you don't start that YouTube channel because you're like, yeah, don't really have the time for it. I need to focus on my 9 to 5, get better at this, then I'll do it. Or you might say things like, yeah, but I don't know how to edit, or I don't know how to do things, or I don't know how to record a video, or anything like that. Or it might be something like where you know that you need to start putting more boundaries in your life, whether it's at work, for example. But then you don't put the boundaries in because you're like, yeah, but if I say that, then maybe my boss will think a certain way, or maybe I won't get this raise, or maybe people will think of me a certain way. But you don't realize, note this down. Even the small things have huge ramifications as time goes on. What I mean by that is even you feeling like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to put boundaries right now, but it's fine. As time plays out, your boundaries are already non-existent. Now it just gets even more non-existent. Now it affects how you're showing up at work. Now it affects how you're showing up back at home, with your family, with your friends. It could be even that you have this feeling for a while to start a business or start something on the side, start a side hustle. But the doubts in your mind are limiting you. The doubts in your mind are not making you follow that sign. But if you followed that sign, even if, let's say, that business wasn't successful in month 1, month 2, but in 3 months, 4 months time it was. But by you not following it, it's not in 3 months, 4 months, it's 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years down the line before you start something and it starts getting the traction that it could have got way before that, months before, years before. So if you're hearing this message now, take this as a sign that this is your sign to start those things that you know that you need to start. To stop those things that you know that you need to stop. I said 2 sentences there. Start those things you know that you need to start. Stop those things that you know that you need to stop. Whatever those things right now that are probably coming to your mind already, do them, follow them. Every time that I followed that little voice, that higher mind, that oftentimes the mind, the logical mind will try to shut out because, oh, I don't have the money for that, or, oh, I don't have the time for that, or, oh, I don't have the knowledge for that, or, oh, I'm too old for that, or, oh, I don't know how to, all that BS. When we don't follow these things, what happens? Your highest, most optimal timeline just gets delayed, gets delayed, gets delayed. But when you start tapping into the higher frequencies, when we're talking about the I am and the other practice I'm going to share with you as time goes on, now what happens is more of that energy influxes. The problem is now that you're not feeling that energy super strong, but you're getting glimpses of it. Because it's not super strong and your mind feels stronger, you're listening to the mind. But if you stop listening to the mind and start listening to those small things, watch how your life transforms. So now, you can probably already have an idea of what these things are that you know that you should be starting. And I'm not saying, hey, imagine you had that thought to do a YouTube channel. I'm not saying, hey, after this video, record a video, edit it, post it on YouTube. I'm just saying, start taking the actions to start getting that thing going. So whatever thought or idea you know that is true to your soul, true to your heart, true to this true version of you who came here for a very divine reason, a very divine purpose, when you start listening to that, when you start getting those ideas, I want you to actually, if you're comfortable with this, write it in the comment. Let me know and let other people know as well. What is this thing that you're committing to? Make this public declaration. So it's not just a thought, oh yeah, I should be doing that. Then tomorrow comes along and you don't do that thing again. But tomorrow comes along, you're like, okay, what's the first step towards this? What can I move towards this? Because these are the things. This is the problem. People want to know what all these, let's say my higher self is saying, speak to God, pray, all these different things, meditate deeper, go to different parts of the universe, get these answers from at the depths of my subconscious. But if you can't even follow the things that are coming now, you're not going to follow those other things. Trust me, I've seen it time and time again. I've trained a lot of people when it comes to speaking to their higher self and connecting to their deeper parts of intuition. Not the drip-fed intuition, but boom, turning the tap on based on a very deep spiritual experience that I had in Bali, without psychedelics, without anything like that, very natural. When I first connected to my higher self and I saw where most people are limiting themselves in this life, right? That's a whole different topic. Actually, I shared about that on another video, but it's funny, if you actually ever do get the chance to see that video, it's one of my older videos, you'll see that, man, I think someone in that comment box of that video said something like, I want whatever mushrooms this guy's on. But I didn't take any mushrooms or anything like that. But literally you'll see from my energy, it's like, I just came back from this crazy like tap into my higher self for the first time, like that I've ever experienced in my life. Like, don't get me wrong, before that I had intuition, I had feelings, okay, I should be doing that. But sometimes it'd be like, I wasn't sure it was my intuition, wasn't sure it was my mind. This was the first time for literally a couple hours, I was in direct communication with my higher self, which every single one of us can do, which you can do. And if you're watching this video and you've got this attention span to watch a video that's way more than the usual 10 minutes on YouTube, then this already shows that you're resonating with this message. And right now, as I'm speaking, I didn't plan to speak about this, but as I'm speaking about this, I can feel this higher energy coming through because this message is for you. So the key thing now is, as we're going to be progressing through these different videos that I'm doing with you, you're going to be tapping deeper and deeper into this other dimension, to these higher frequencies. But the key thing now is even the things that you're getting now, the drip-fed information, the drip-fed signals that you feel, hey, I know I should be doing this, but I'm scared, but I don't know how to. You need to follow it. So make that public declaration in the comments. Then we can come back, we can see, check in on you, how you're doing. And I encourage, if you make a public declaration, you see someone else, give them a like, check in on them, say, how's it going? I back you, I encourage you, I'm here for you, kind of thing. Let's make this a supportive community, because yeah, this is very deep stuff we're going to be embarking on as we progress through these videos. That will definitely change a lot of our lives the more that we listen to this, the more that we progress with this. Other than that, the final thing in this video, the only other thing that will limit you right now is something that I call thought loops. Thought loops which leads to energetic loops. And we've kind of touched upon this already, in the sense of, you may have that feeling to do something, but then a thought comes in, it's like, oh, but I don't have the time for that right now. Then it shuts it off. Then that thought loop creates an energy loop. What do I mean by that? That thought is then triggering you feeling a lack of time, feeling like, okay, I've got to make do with this other thing. Maybe it's even a case where you know that you shouldn't be with somebody right now, but then a thought loop keeps you in that energy, because you're like, but what would I do without them? But what's going to happen after? Maybe it's a case where you know that you should be messaging somebody, telling them how you really feel, but then the fear, the doubt, that thought loop keeps you in that energetic loop of that lack, of not being with that person. You know what I mean? So now is the key thing to recognize. And I'm not saying this will happen right now. You will set this intention right now. As today progresses, you'll start to notice, what are the thought loops that keep recurring, that keep me in a lower vibration, that keep me out of abundance, that keep me from tapping into my greatest potential? This making sense? So the 3 key things here that I've shared with you in this video, and notice what I did in this video. Every part of this, so the first one is to do with your soul, to do with knowing that you are beyond this. The second part is to do with your body, your actions. What actions are you taking, the physical? The third part is to do with your mind. Noting down, okay, I note that this thought happens and it causes this loop to occur, where now this thought happens, now I don't do something, or I do something that I shouldn't be doing. Now this loop of feeling in this lower vibration, or feeling maybe in a good vibration but not in the highest vibration. So notice these 3 things that I've shared with you, they're for a reason. For the soul, for the body and the actions that you're taking in the physical, and for the mind. This way, because everybody is different, you are unique. So you might be limited more in the body, the physical, or someone else might be limited more in the mental or in the soul level. But if you follow these 3 things, it will take you from wherever you're at and automatically place you on a higher vibration that is beyond just this physical dimension, beyond just the thought loops that are stuck. For example, the final thing I want to say about this is, for example, with thought loops, it could be a case where you watching the news might trigger the thought loop. I know that a lot of people probably watching this channel don't really watch the news, but for example, you watching the news might trigger a thought loop. Or you wanting a relationship, but walking in the park and seeing a couple there might trigger a thought loop of you feeling single, you feeling that don't have somebody. The way that we can start to change this is when you recognize these thought loops, and now that I've mentioned it today, you'll start to notice this. When you notice these thought loops, you can do one of 2 things. You can either change the question. Let's say, for example, a bill comes in the post, and then it triggers a thought loop. Oh, I don't have the money, or my money, another bill, kind of thing. Instead of triggering that negative thought loop or that lower and disempowering thought loop, what we can do, we can change our question. Okay, it could be a case of, okay, the thought comes in, I don't have the money. Okay, how can I get the money? What can I do to generate more money? What is something that I know that I should be doing, but I'm not doing to my fullest capacity? That could be one thing, for example. Or if you don't have the time for something, how can I make the time? How can I find the time? How can I reschedule for this? Second thing, because you might be thinking, yeah, okay, question, Josh, that's cool. But what if the question, I don't really have an answer to it? Okay, in the meantime, we can do the second thing, which is empowering, which is changing the thought loop from, another bill, to saying, hey, because of this, I get to have gas. Because of this, I get to have warmth in my house. Because of this, I get to have the internet and watch this dope-ass video from Joshua Andre. Because of this, for example. Or if you're not in a relationship, okay, you know what? I'm not in a relationship right now. It's not that I'm never going to be in a relationship, but right now, because of this, now I have time to dive deeper into some of these topics. That when I do have a relationship, I can go even deeper with the person I'm in a relationship with. We start to change it. We start to change our question or empower the statement. So these are some few things that you can do on a physical level, on a mental level, on a spiritual level, that you can do in preparation for one of my next videos that I'm going to be sharing with you. I believe right now it's going to be something called to do with how I manifest in an alternative dimension or another dimension, something like that. So look out for that video. There will be a lot more details there. By the way, if you like this video, got any value from it, make sure to leave a like. If you want more videos like this on your feed, then make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have already, welcome back, and I will see you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Much love. Do these 3 things, make your public declaration, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.